Hi, I'm Dan and welcome to the Airbrush Garage. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. Today I'm going to be doing a really cool effect called lacing. I got this really inexpensive piece of lace from my local Hobby Lobby. I'm sure you can get it at a fabric store or wherever, whatever's convenient and local for you. But it's very inexpensive. I literally got this whole big piece here, probably about, I think it's 4 or 5 feet long, 3 foot wide for about $6, so really cheap. But I'm going to be cutting a little piece off and I'm going to be putting it over the whole tank. I'm going to be spraying through it. I'm going to spray through it with a silver, and then I'm going to put a candy on top of that. But before I do that, I'm going to put a Harley decal on here, a vinyl removable Harley decal that I cut with my Cricut. I do have a couple of Cricut videos. If you're interested in that, I'll pop a link up above. You can go check that out. So we're going to be putting the Harley decal on here, and then some pinstripes on here also, so the black will remain, and our effect will go over that. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, stick around. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out all my Amazon affiliate links down below for the products I use in this video and all my other videos. A couple comments, good or bad, thumbs up would be great. The comments really help out with the YouTube algorithm, help keep this channel going. And with that, let's get started. All right, before we get started, I do want to mention that I covered this tank with Createx Autoborne Sealer Black. Okay, I have a video on that. I'll pop a card up above if you're interested in that. So once I was done that process, I just scuffed it up a little bit, sprayed it with an enamel black. Any automotive paint or spray can paint, even if you wanted to go with that, would work just as my base coat. So with that, before I get started with anything, as you notice, I'm wearing rubber gloves. I'm going to clean the surface. There's no point in cleaning your surface if you're just going to touch it again with your hands and get your oils back on the paint. So I always like to make sure that the surface is as clean as possible before I start painting or working with it. In this case, I got a Duplicolor automotive prep series. You can use any, paint prep out there. This one I just picked up from my local parts store, and it's a foaming cleaner, and I use it a couple times now. Pretty new to it, but I really do like it. Any oils from your hands, fingerprints, whatever it may be, will cause your paint not to stick. And you'll think it's sticking at first, maybe even, and it will be a cause of delamination later. So you really do want to make sure your surface is prepped. I mean, your paint job's only going to look as good as what your surface is underneath. Now, I didn't believe that a lot of times, and I was always in a hurry to do something and thought, oh, it'll be just fine. And you know what? I have a guitar in there right now that, it's a personal guitar of mine that I'm going to be fixing because I didn't scuff the surface enough on the edges, and now my clear coat is delaminating. So in the future, I will have a video on how to correct that if that happens, but you really don't want it to happen. You just want to make sure that your surface is prepped correctly to receive paint. All right, now once that's all weeded out, and I suggest that you get a weeding tool, and I'll pop a link down below for one of these tools. If you're going to be doing any kind of work like this, it's just very invaluable tool, very inexpensive. Make sure you grab one of those. Make your life a lot easier when you're going to weed vinyl. Now, I have some 6-inch transfer tape here, vinyl transfer tape. I'm going to be putting it over the decal, and then we're going to be putting it onto our surface. Again, giving it one more cleaning before we put it down on our surface. As you can see, I just use a credit card. This happens to be a key card. If you have a squeegee, that's great too. Anything will work as long as you can lay it down smooth, flat, and get all of the air out of it. You don't want any air bubbles trapped underneath your tape. You want to get that pressed on there really good, because what we're hoping to happen is that the decal sticks to the transfer tape and we peel off the vinyl backing. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to flip it over, and you're going to peel the backing off, not by pulling up, by pulling back, rolling it back, and it should come right off. All right, now it's time to position the decal on the tank. So sometimes you have a hard time seeing through the paper tape. I'm used to it, but what you can do is you can rub a pencil over it and it'll bring the decal out on top of the tape. A lot of times people like to use their transparent tape. So once you get it lined up where you want, being it's on a curved surface, what I like to do is stick down the center first, and then squeegee towards the upper and the lower part or around the curve. You don't really want to put it down on one edge and then try to roll it over the curve. I find it easier to start at the middle of the curve. You just want to rub it down really good here. So you got it all stuck. Now you want to peel that tape back on itself. Again, don't pull the tape up. Now you just want to push anything down that might have lifted up. All right, so once the decal's on, I'm going to be putting 2 stripes on this tank. I'm going to be using K tape for the 1/8 inch, and I'm going to be using like a masking tape for the 1/4 inch. So it's not a vinyl tape, it's more like a masking tape. It's good for minor curves. If I had real major curves, I would use the vinyl tape or the fine line tape. But as you can see here, I get really nice curves with this particular tape. And I really like this tape because I don't find that it leaves any kind of residue behind. Now I got my K tape. I'll pop a link down for all of these tapes that I'm using here down in the description below. Now this here I kind of just eyeball. There really is no set technique to this. It just takes practice. I'm looking for about an 1/8 inch gap between each piece of tape. And I'm just going to take my time and try to line that gap up evenly. The cool part about this tape, or these tapes, is that you can peel them back, kind of start over if you need to. So if you found that you don't like how it's going, just pick it back up and reset it back down, just like that. Alright, so I got my lace on my tank and secured it with some masking tape on the back, and if I told you this was easy, it wasn't. I'd be lying to you. So it took me several tries to get it where I wanted. So I got my liquid silver in my cup, mixed with my 4011, and I let it sit for about 10 minutes. And I'm going to go load it up on my Krios P290 and start giving it some really light coats. So coat number 1, you just want to try to follow a pattern because it's really hard to see the silver through the white lace. So you really don't know kind of what you're getting. That's why we're going to put about 3 to 4, nice light coats on here, so we try to make sure we get it all. So coat number 2. I think what's kind of fun about this in a way is you really don't know what you have until until you're finished and you take off the lace. So just like any template or stencil that you're using, you want to try to spray at the template or the stencil at 90 degrees. so you're not spraying underneath the template. All right, so we're finishing up on coat number 4 here, and we'll see what we got. All right, well, there you have it. Off screen, I got the lacing off, and I'll tell you what, it came out really, really cool. We'll get a better close-up of it later when we get it on the bench, but I still have to take off the Harley and the striping, so we'll do that now. And I got my weeding tool here, because you really don't want to use an X-Acto blade here because you will scratch the paint. And again, you want to peel the tape back on itself. And then what's going to happen is when we put the candy on that, these stripes are going to be hard to see right now, but when we put the candy on that, the lacing is going to run right up to the stripe, and the stripe's going to become much more apparent, as it will on the Harley sticker. I think it's going to be easier over on the bench, so let's take it over there. Again, you want to just be really careful here. Get that weeding tool underneath there. Just pick up on it. Now at this point, it's okay if the vinyl tears, but again, you want to pull it back on itself. Hearing your wife in the background is okay, that's why it's called the Airbrush Garage. I'm sure I'm not alone out there. Because we truly are in the garage. I am using a removable vinyl for the Cricut. Again, if you guys want to see how I cut these out on the Cricut, I have a couple videos up there. Go check them out. In all transparency, it's the first time I've been working or ever worked with this removable vinyl. I usually just use vinyl. I'm not quite sure what the difference is. From what I read, it's supposed to leave no residue, which so far seems to be holding true. It does seem to break a lot more as you're taking the vinyl off, as opposed to just a regular vinyl. I guess it's a few mils, probably a few mils thinner. Well, there you have it. Really, really cool. I think that's gonna do really, really well once we, put the candy over it. Everything's just gonna really pop. All right, well, it's time to mix up the candy. You're gonna need 3 things to do this. You're gonna need your UVLS clear gloss, your candy 2O, your color of your choice. I'm gonna be going with blood red here, and your 4011 reducer. Now, it's really important how you mix this. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna be mixing it 6 to 1. You're gonna be mixing 6 parts, or in a roundabout. It doesn't have to be an exact science, but 5 or 6 parts of the gloss, 1 part of the candy 2O, and about 10% of the 4011. Now, it's really hot and humid in here today. We got 65% humidity and 84 degrees here in the garage, so not ideal conditions. So not the best conditions, but we're gonna have a lot of airflow going over it in between coats. So here we go. You're gonna wanna make sure you mix this up well. It has a marble inside of it. Anything with a marble inside means it should be mixed. I really do like these mixing cups. They're really cheap. You can get them online. I'll pop a link down below for some cups. It gives you all kinds of ratios here. But again, we're going to go 6 to 1 here. want to make sure you mix that up nice and good. And when you do, you want to let that sit. Let it sit for about 10 minutes. Let that sit. We'll come back, we'll put it in the gun, and we'll hit our tank. All right, so I got my blood red loaded up in my gun. Got my Pache airbrush here, or they call it a brush. I think it's more a spray gun, but it's a .8. I have a video on this. I'll pop a card up above if you're interested in seeing a review on this particular gun. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be spraying with 30 psi, but I am going to hold back on full trigger. I just want some light coats on this. So I'm going to probably be about 3/4 trigger, so I will adjust my trigger right here in the back. Full fan spray, but I am going to adjust the trigger to about 3/4 pull, okay? And what I'm going to be doing here is putting at least 3 light coats. In between each coat, I'm going to run a fan, and I'm going to let it dry. Okay, here we go. All right, light coat number 2. There you have it. All right, we're back for the 3rd coat, but I'm kind of really liking where it is right now, but I am going to put one last light 3rd coat on it. Here we go. Well, all right, there you have it. Pretty cool stuff, what you can do with a $6 piece of lace from your local, fabric store or like I said, hobby store. There's a lot of cool, cheap tricks that you can do. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you learned something. If you did, please consider subscribing. Hit that thumbs up. A couple comments, good or bad, really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Help keep this channel going. Don't forget to check out all my Amazon affiliate links for all the products I use in this video and all my other videos. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.